Yo, it's me, it's the SCOTT, and we have made it to Hellraiser Hellworld. This is one I actually like. Although this watch, I did find a few problems with it, more than I usually do, so we'll talk about it. The story here is now, in this movie, Hellraiser is now an OMMRPG game entitled Hellworld, which has become well known throughout the world, and a legend of Hellraiser has been spread around the world. And going into this movie for some watch, I was like, so then this is our world. Like, this is where Hellraiser is fictional, doesn't actually exist, and then they're gonna find out that there's some truth to the Hellraiser lore. I figured it's the game that's actually a trick, and it sends you to hell. Well, this is way different. They don't really even incorporate the game into the movie that really at all. One thing is, they went a different approach with this. Because, well, to start off with, unlike the previous three, which were spec scripts that had Hellraiser Pinhead shoved in, here it wasn't a spec script, but it was still a different story. It was adapted from a book, I think. I don't know what the book is called, but they adapted from a book, and they put Hellraiser in it, and it's, man, Hellraiser all over the place, but it's not a Hellraiser movie per se. I think whatever they had in the book that they were doing, they changed it to Hellraiser to, fit in there. Cast. We got some good ones here. We have Lance Henderson, who plays the host. Interestingly enough, Lance Henderson was offered the role of what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Frank. He was offered the role of Frank in the original Hellraiser, and he turned it down, so now he's the host. And that's his name, the host. Catherine Winnick from Vikings, and I'm watching this, and I look up pictures of her now, and she's in her 40s. She's still pretty gorgeous. Christopher Jecott, who I know from various, he was on Smallville. No, Supernatural. For an episode, he had a little arc on Degrassi. I didn't really like where his character went. Just, I've seen him before. Carrie Payton. Don't know who that is. Booyah! That's right. Cyborg. And he's not alone. Oh no. Because he has the Man of Steel himself, Superman Henry Cavill, by his side. That's right. And some British woman. I don't know who she is. But yeah, that's basically the round of friends. And yeah, so they play this game and they're invited to this party. Hosted by the host. And they're like special guests. And they're toured around. And as things start to get going, things get weird. And each of them is killed off in a weird way. Not a Hellraiser-ish way, but they're each killed off. It starts with the British chick. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. She finds a room that says "Do not enter." She does anyway, and she finds this chair. And Henderson comes in. He activates the chair. It slits her throat. He activates the chair. He turns into Pinhead, and it slits her throat. Before I continue, I'm gonna go back a little bit. So, with Derek, that's Carrie Payton's character, he is shown already to have an ailment, and that's asthma. And Susan goes, with the asthma thing, the inhaler, you think, okay, that's going to play into his death. And yes, I guess it does. But I don't know. So I guess I'll wait to explain some stuff till after I reveal the twist. Because there's a twist. Doesn't really make much sense. It does if maybe you go by the original story. I don't know, but it's my foot. So the next victim is Derek, and he's dancing on the dance floor. They introduced this thing which they don't follow, where you wear a mask and you have a little piece of shit Nokia phone, and you call someone random number, and you can have a random hookup. That's what you're supposed to do. But they don't do it because they have the mask off the entire time when they're talking to them on the phone. So what was the point of putting that in the movie? I don't know. Maybe it's used more in the original story. I don't know. But Derek is the next one to go. He's dancing with a woman. He starts to get asthma. And as he goes to use it, grabs an inhaler, it falls, it gets kicked. And this is where I'm going to call bullshit on this. He starts to have an asthma attack. And he's chasing this goddamn inhaler down a flight of circle stairs into a basement room. And he's fiddling with this grate. And he has to grab something. He put a knife and prop the grate open. And then grab the inhaler. And then he finally has a moment of less. I'm sorry, but he should have had... He should be fucking dead going halfway down those fucking steps. I'm sorry, but there's no way you can run down steps with asthma. You can't run. You can't breathe. You have asthma attack. You cannot breathe. Therefore, you cannot run. But he's running down steps. Going and running, circles running down the steps, going around, filling with this thing. No, he should have suffocated or stopped breathing long before this. And then, he gets his head chopped off by a pinhead with a butcher's knife or a cleaver. Because that's what Pinhead does. The next victim is Mike, who is Superman. And he's making out with this woman. He's got this that he hooks up with, and she's going down on him, and the mask freaks out at him. And he's like, and then they start making out. They go down, takes her top off, they're moving around, and she locks him in the room, a room that they were taken down to earlier that has this big hook. And it showed him, look, he's like, ooh, earlier in the movie, and like, oh, okay, just like Derek, you know, that's gonna play into his death, and surely it does. Pinhead doesn't even kill him. It's others call him Other One, because that's what Phelan Porteous called him. Other One. I hate Other One. But Other One kills him with the hook. He's dead. That's it. That's how he dies. That's not the right kind of hook. You're close. You're closer. You get closer. Hook. But that's not the big old hook coming through. That's not what they mean by hooks. You're getting close. So, those are the only people that die. Those three. Yep, only deaths in the entire movie. But then we have Jake and Chelsea running around. And I'm going to go ahead and get to the twist. Because there's a spot where Chelsea tries to call the cops. And they get there, and Lance won't let, host won't let him into the house because he has this party he's going on. And then Chelsea calls back again, and she says, look up him in the window, and the guy looks, there's nothing there. And you're thinking, wait, what, why can't he see her? Well, we'll get to the twist in a minute. They use psychological horror. It's used better in here than the first two and the other two that I complained about. But it's really not used that much better. Jake is in an office, and he feels like something's behind him. He turns around, he stabs whoever it is. It turns out to be Chelsea. And then Chelsea calls him from the piece of shit Nokia phone. And it wasn't her, and she's just gone. And so they finally find their way out of the house. They're running, and then they fall into these graves. And this is where it's revealed that from the beginning, almost the beginning of when they stepped into this party, they've been stuck inside coffins, their own coffins. And yeah, so they're in there, and I guess Lance has been feeding them suggestions through the phones. And it explains that they were drugged, and that's why they don't notice that they're in there. We're going to go back now, because there's some inconsistencies here. The first three that I mentioned, Mike, Derek, and the British chick, were all infected about simultaneously. With them drinking the alcohol, that's Derek gets put in. She sprays the perfume on her face. And Superman, Mike, has like some ink that infects him. I guess ink can go through. He can go through the skin, I guess. And they're infected. Chelsea is infected when she's pricked with a needle or a nail or something into her skin. But Jake isn't infected till later when he's in the office and he finds a mech configuration that Adam supposedly built. By the way, Adam is their friend that died because of the game. And they're shown at the funeral. It's really weird. It's a dream or it's not a dream, I don't know. And the spikes come out and prick him, and that's how he gets infected. Now here's the thing. If the first three I mentioned were all infected simultaneously, and then Chelsea infected later, there'd be 4 unconscious bodies laying around, and Jake is still walking around. Now you can say they didn't affect them right away. Like, the stuff didn't affect them right away, and then they went downstairs. She wasn't affected, but she seemed like she's affected almost right away. Doesn't matter, and then he's infected. The one thing that's weird is that after Jake gets pricked by the thing, suddenly no one else at the party can see him. And it makes sense if you're trying to say that's because he's now drugged and he's not actually at the party. But both Mike and Derek, as well as Jake later, now that I thought about it, interact with people. Because, like I said, Mike is hooking up with this one chick, Derek with another, and Jake even hooks up with a nun, I think. And it's really weird because they do it, and then he's like laying there with her, and he has like a dream about Adam, and he wakes up, and she's gone, but her robes are still there, along with her little pendant. And, yeah, apparently they were all drugged this whole time. And then it transitions from the host digging the graves to them rescuing Chelsea and Jake. The explanation of how they actually died. Only the first one really makes sense. They say that the British chick, the host says that the British chick died because she clawing in her throat. Because of the thing that was around her neck. That makes sense. They say that Derek died of asthma. That doesn't make sense because we saw him get his head chopped off. If he died of asthma, you could just have him have some weird... Like, they could have said that something was poisoned and just come out. So, I don't know. And then... Sorry. Almond. Then they say that Mike died of good old-fashioned fear. Which cannot happen. You can have a cardiac arrest, which they could have just said that, caused him to have cardiac arrest, but the other two are still alive, and here's the kicker. They say that somebody called from the house saying they were in trouble, that they were buried in the yard here. It's implied that it was Adam's ghost that called. But we're not done. Because we cut to the host in a hotel room, and he's got the real man configuration, and he opens it, and Pinhead shows up with chains attached to blades. He doesn't even kill him; it's other one again, and he just slices him in pieces. That's it. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I don't know what to do with this movie. I like this movie because it's got the self-referential stuff. You know, they're aware that they're in a place where the Hellraiser thing exists. They're aware of that. And like I said, it would have made sense if this was all fictional. They even call it out. But there's one line of dialogue that throws it out the window. Because, and it doesn't make sense to the rest of the franchise either, then again these sequels don't, is that the host tells them the house they're in was built by Philippe Le Marchand himself. his greatest architectural achievement. First of all, pal, it wasn't Philippe Le Marchand that was the architect. He was a toy maker. John Merchant was the architect, and his only building that he actually did was the one that he built in the for the fourth film. So, doesn't make any sense. And then we get a fake out. Jake and Chelsea are driving and look at the sunset. Phone rings, and it's the host, and then he's just there. And then they cut, fake out, he's gone, and end of the movie. And this is after he's already been sliced. So, yeah, I don't hate this movie. I'm gonna give it a 7 because I really enjoy it. I like the characters, I like the actors. For me, it's one of the better sequels in this franchise. So I'm gonna give it a 7. It's just got those kind of problems, continuity errors, especially when you try to stick Pinhead in a story, and then you try to write some stuff in to make it sound like it's a Pinhead movie or a Hellraiser movie, but you don't get the facts right. But it's a 7. So what are your guys' thoughts on Hellraiser Hellworld? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. I've been Scotty. See you in the next one.